Emily Carter stopped in the hallway the moment she heard her sister's voice, soft, breathy, unmistakably flirtatious. The dim hallway lights cast long shadows across the walls as she edged closer, her pulse pounding in her ears. "You know you don't have to pretend with me, Ben," Madison whispered. Emily froze. Her hand tightened around her phone, breath stuck in her throat. She had come home early from her shift at the clinic, hoping to surprise her husband with takeout from his favorite Tex-Mex place. Instead, she walked into a scene she had never imagined in her worst nightmares. Ben's voice came next, low, conflicted. "Mads, this isn't right." Mads, her sister's nickname. From her husband's mouth. Emily pressed herself against the wall and stared at the crack in the den door. The warm golden light spilled onto the hallway floor, and in that narrow slit, she saw movement, her sister's silhouette leaning dangerously close to him. She didn't want to believe it. She didn't want to breathe. She didn't want to see anything else. But she had to. Emily pushed the door open. The moment stretched, slow and suffocating. Ben jerked upright in his chair, guilt written across every line of his face. Madison straightened, her hand still resting boldly on the back of Ben's chair, like she had a right to be there. Madison's dress shimmered under the soft light. Too short, too tight, too revealing. A dress she wouldn't even wear on a night out, let alone to her sister's home. For a second, no one spoke. Emily scanned the room, taking in every detail, the half-empty wine glasses on the desk, Madison's lipstick smudged slightly, the faint scent of her perfume, the floral one Ben always said he liked. Her stomach twisted. Madison blinked slowly, then forced a sugary smile. "Oh, hey, you scared us. I didn't know you'd be home already." Emily's voice was tight. Clearly. Ben stepped forward. "Emily, wait, this is not what it looks like." Emily cut him off, her tone sharp as glass. "Because from where I'm standing, it looks pretty damn obvious." Madison lifted her chin with practiced innocence. "Seriously? You think I'm seducing your husband?" Emily stared at her. "Yes, because I just watched you try." Ben's shoulders slumped, a silent admission he didn't dare voice. Emily's heart cracked at that tiny, humiliating shift in his posture. Madison rolled her eyes. "Wow, you really think that low of me?" "I think low of what I just saw," Emily shot back. There it was, one heartbeat of pure, naked truth. Madison's mask cracked for a split second. Her lips tightened, her gaze sharpening as if she finally realized she'd been caught with nowhere to run. Then she smirked. A small, dangerous smirk that made Emily's hands go cold. Ben stepped between them. "Madison, maybe you should go." "Why?" Madison asked, still staring at Emily. "I didn't do anything wrong." Emily laughed, a hollow, furious sound. "You were leaning over my husband in a dress that barely qualifies as clothing." "What do you call that?" Madison's smirk widened. "Being friendly?" Ben muttered under his breath, "Jesus." Emily's voice trembled, but not with fear or rage. "What are you doing here, Madison?" Madison shrugged casually. "I came to talk to Ben. He understands things you don't." Emily stiffened. "Like what?" Madison's eyes glinted. "Like how lonely he gets when you're always working." Ben turned sharply. "Madison. Stop." But it was too late. The damage was done. Emily's stomach dropped. "Is that what this is? You two gossiping about me now?" Ben stepped closer, shaking his head. "Emily, no." She showed up out of nowhere, started talking about stress, family stuff. "I tried to tell her to leave." "You didn't try hard enough," Emily snapped. Silence pressed around them like a heavy fog. Madison crossed her arms, her expression shifting into something cold. "Maybe if you paid attention to your marriage, your husband wouldn't need company." Emily advanced a step, her voice low and deadly. "Get out of my house. Right now." Madison tilted her head. "Or what?" Ben finally snapped. "Madison, go." Madison's smirk faltered. She grabbed her purse, tossed her hair back, and brushed past Emily with a whisper only Emily heard. "He deserves better than you." Emily's breath hitched, fury burning through her chest. When the door slammed behind Madison, the silence left behind was worse than the confrontation. Emily turned to her husband. "Start talking," she said. "Every word. No lies." Ben's face drained of color. Because the truth was about to make everything worse. Ben didn't move at first. He stood in the center of the den, shoulders tight, eyes lowered, as if staring at the carpet could save him from the storm building inside Emily. The soft jazz music still played from the speakers, slow, wrong, mocking the chaos in the room. Emily crossed her arms. "Turn that off." Ben fumbled with his phone, silencing the music. The sudden quiet made everything louder, her breathing, his trembling, the weight of what Madison had said. Emily stepped closer. "Tell me the truth. All of it." Ben ran a hand through his hair. "Emily, you have to understand." "No," she snapped. "I don't have to understand anything. You're going to talk." He swallowed hard, then sank onto the edge of the desk. "She came here an hour ago. She said she needed to talk about some family stuff." Emily scoffed. "Family stuff?" Madison's definition of family stuff includes showing up in a nightclub dress and putting her hands on you. Ben winced. "I didn't know she was dressed like that until she came inside." "And you didn't tell her to leave?" "I tried," he said. "She kept saying she was going through something. She said she had no one else to talk to." Emily stared at him, her anger simmering into something colder. "Why didn't you call me?" "Because," Ben said, voice cracking, "I didn't want you walking into more stress. You've been exhausted lately. I thought I could just handle it." Emily shook her head slowly. "Handle it?" "You poured wine." Ben's silence was the worst admission of all. She glanced at the glasses, lip prints on one, smudged fingerprints on the other. Evidence she couldn't pretend away. "Did she touch you before I walked in?" Emily asked quietly. Ben hesitated. And that hesitation was a knife. Emily's chest tightened. "Ben." She leaned in, he whispered. She put her hand on my shoulder. I told her to stop. Emily felt heat rising in her throat, a mix of betrayal and disbelief. And she didn't listen, obviously. Ben nodded weakly. "I should have pushed her away sooner." "I know. Why didn't you?" His eyes lifted to hers, full of guilt. "Because I didn't think she'd actually try something like that." Emily's voice sharpened. "Then you don't know my sister." Ben stood abruptly, frustration replacing guilt. "This isn't my fault alone, Emily. She kept saying things you don't know about." Emily's pulse jumped. "What things?" Ben exhaled. "She said you two had some falling out recently. Something about her losing her job? Being kicked out of her apartment." Emily blinked. "She wasn't kicked out. She left. Because she refused to pay rent or follow rules." But Ben wasn't done. "She told me you were pushing her away. Ignoring her. That you thought she was a burden." Emily's gut twisted. "That's what she told you," she whispered. Ben nodded. "She said she felt unwanted. That she only came here because she missed her family." Emily laughed bitterly. "She didn't miss her family. She missed attention." Ben closed his eyes. "Emily, she was crying at first. She said you two stopped being close." I didn't know what to believe." Emily stared at him, stunned. "You believed her?" she asked softly. "My husband believed her over me?" Ben didn't answer, and that silence was louder than anything. Emily's body felt weightless, like she'd been pushed into cold water. She sat down slowly on the edge of the couch. "She's been doing this for years," Emily said. "Playing the victim. Making herself look small and helpless so people rescue her. And when she doesn't get what she wants, she takes whatever she can. Even if it belongs to someone else." Ben sat down across from her, elbows on his knees. "Emily, I should have told her to leave. I should have shut it down immediately. I'm sorry." Emily's voice hardened. "Sorry doesn't fix this." Ben flinched. They sat in strained silence until Emily finally spoke again. "What else did she say?" Ben hesitated again. "Ben." He finally met her eyes. "She told me you and I were having problems." Emily's jaw clenched. "What kind of problems?" "That you weren't happy anymore. That you felt disconnected. That you were looking for space from me." Emily stood so suddenly the chair scraped. "She's trying to break us apart." Ben looked sick. "Emily, I didn't believe everything." "But you believed enough," she said, voice raw. He lowered his head. "I didn't know who to trust." Emily's breath hitched. Your wife. You trust your wife. Before Ben could respond, the sound of a phone vibrating interrupted them. Emily looked toward the entryway. Ben's phone. Screen lighting up. A new message. From Madison. Ben went pale. Emily stepped forward, grabbed the phone before he could, and read the screen. Madison, did she freak out? I warned you she'd react like this. She's always been dramatic. I'll come back if you want to explain together. Emily's fingers trembled. The if you want burned hotter than fire. She lifted her gaze to Ben, waiting for his reaction. He had none. That silence told her everything she needed to know. She wasn't fighting just a seduction attempt. She was fighting an alliance. Emily didn't move for several seconds. The phone screen glowed in her hand, the message burning into her mind like a brand she would never forget. Did she freak out? I warned you she'd react like this. She's always been dramatic. I'll come back if you want to explain together. Explain together. Together. Emily lifted her eyes toward Ben, waiting, hoping for some kind of reaction, some proof he wasn't part of this. But his face remained pale, frozen, unreadable. And that terrified her more than if he had shouted or panicked. You didn't tell her to stop texting you, Emily said quietly. Ben swallowed. I didn't think she'd. Yes, you did, Emily cut in. Because she's been doing this for weeks, hasn't she? Ben blinked. What? You hesitated every time I asked if she touched you, Emily said. Hesitated when I asked if she'd said anything else. You're hiding something. Ben looked away. Emily's hand tightened around the phone. How long has she been messaging you? Ben rubbed his forehead. Emily. How long? A long, agonizing pause. 3 weeks, he said finally, barely audible. Emily felt her knees weaken. 3 weeks. She kept saying she needed someone to talk to, Ben muttered. You know how she is. Emotional. Dramatic. I thought she just needed stability. Emily's voice sharpened. So you gave it to her? Ben's shoulders stiffened. I wasn't giving her anything except advice. Advice? Emily scoffed. You don't give your wife's sister late-night advice, Ben. He flinched at the word late night. Emily stepped forward. What time did she usually text you? Ben hesitated again. Ben, Emily said, tell me. Midnight, sometimes later, he admitted. But I always told her I couldn't talk long. Did you delete anything? Ben shut his eyes. That was answer enough. Emily backed away from him, her voice trembling. So she didn't just show up tonight out of nowhere. She planned this. She built up to it. Ben shook his head. I didn't realize she was flirting. I swear. She would talk about her problems. Her job. Her apartment. Her anxiety. Emily let out a bitter laugh. She doesn't have anxiety. She has a strategy. Ben stood abruptly. Emily, that's your sister. No, she said, stepping back again, that's someone who's been competing with me since we were children. I get a scholarship, she accuses me of showing off. I start dating you, she suddenly wants a boyfriend exactly like you. I buy a house, she moves in and acts like she owns it. She never competed with you, Ben said weakly. You don't know her like I do. Emily felt her stomach twist, memories flooding in, Madison stealing her things as kids, lying to get out of trouble, flirting with Emily's boyfriends in high school, crying when she got caught so she'd be forgiven. Emily had always forgiven her. But this was different. Emily's voice cracked. She wants what I have. Every time. Always. And you. Ben looked helpless. I didn't lead her on, Em. You gave her space, Emily said. Space she used to slide between us. Silence stretched again, tense, fragile. Emily looked down at the phone one more time. The message still waited for a reply. Madison, I'll come back if you want to explain together. Emily stared at the words, then set the phone down on the table as if it were something toxic. We're not done, she said. Not even close. Before Ben could respond, a sudden knock echoed from the front door. A slow, deliberate knock. Emily went rigid. Ben turned toward the hallway. No, Emily whispered. She didn't. Ben looked sick. She said she'd come back. Emily marched toward the door. Ben reached out instinctively, but she shook him off. When she opened it, Madison stood there, arms crossed, expression cool, eyes daring Emily to react. Hey, Madison said lightly, like nothing had happened. I figured we should clear the air. Emily stared at her sister, stunned by the audacity. Madison stepped inside without waiting for permission, her heels clicking confidently on the hardwood floor. She turned to Ben and smiled softly. Are you okay? Emily felt something inside her snap. No, she said, voice icy. You don't talk to him. You don't even look at him. Madison arched a brow. Emily, stop being dramatic. Emily stepped closer. Why are you really here? Madison smirked. You already know. Emily glared. You want my husband. Madison didn't deny it. Instead, she tilted her head, her voice dripping with venomous sweetness. Maybe if you treated him right, he wouldn't be so easy to take. Ben inhaled sharply. Madison, stop. Emily's hand slammed against the table, the sound echoing through the room. You crossed a line, Emily said. And now I'm crossing one too. Madison's expression shifted, just a flicker, like she hadn't expected Emily to push back this hard. Because Emily wasn't just angry now. She was done. Madison didn't flinch when Emily slammed her hand against the table. She didn't step back. She didn't apologize. If anything, she seemed to stand taller, like she'd been waiting for this moment. Her lips curled into a slow, triumphant smile. There she is, Madison said. The real Emily. Controlling. Paranoid. Always assuming the worst. Emily felt the heat rising in her chest. You walked into my house. You touched my husband. You've been texting him at midnight. And you think I'm paranoid? Madison shrugged smoothly. Maybe if you were a better wife, he wouldn't respond. Ben stiffened. Madison, stop it. She didn't even look at him. Ben, please. We both know you're not happy. Emily's stomach twisted. You don't get to decide his feelings. Madison finally turned to Ben, her voice lowering. Tell her. Ben froze. Emily's breath hitched. Tell me what? Madison answered for him. That he told me he feels disconnected from you. Emily turned to Ben like he'd just stabbed her. You said that. Ben ran a hand through his hair. I said things have been tense. I never said I wanted. He said you barely talk anymore, Madison continued, slicing through his interruption like a knife. He said you come home tired, avoid him, and sleep on your side of the bed like he's not even there. He said he feels invisible. Emily stared at Ben, betrayed. You said I make you feel invisible? Ben's eyes filled with regret. I was venting. That's it. I shouldn't have. You vented to my sister, Emily snapped. Not a friend. Not a therapist. My sister. Madison crossed her arms, pretending to look sympathetic. He needed someone to listen. Emily turned to her sharply. And you needed someone to steal. Madison scoffed. Please. Ben isn't an object. He can choose. Emily took a slow, steady breath. You seduced him. Madison smirked. Did I? Or did you just neglect him long enough that someone else filled the space? Ben's face fell. Madison. Enough. But she wasn't done. Emily's voice wavered, anger mixing with heartbreak. You're doing this on purpose. You want to ruin my marriage. Madison finally dropped the pretense, her expression shifting into something sharper, meaner. You ruined your marriage all on your own, she said. I just showed Ben what he was missing. Emily stepped closer, inches away from her sister's face. You're sick. Madison smiled, leaning in just slightly. You're threatened. You want everything I have, Emily said quietly. Since we were kids. You hated when I succeeded. Madison laughed. You succeeded because Mom and Dad babied you. Not because you deserved it. Emily blinked. What? You were always the favorite, Madison hissed. Perfect grades, perfect job, perfect husband. They compared me to you every second of my life. Why can't you be more like Emily? Why can't you settle down like Emily? Emily felt the air shift. This was the real Madison. Madison's voice cracked with bitterness. Do you know what that does to someone? Being second. Always second. Emily spoke softly, stunned. You think stealing my husband will make you first? Madison's smile twitched. No. But it'll make you lose something you don't appreciate. Ben finally stepped between them, voice shaking. Madison, this isn't about our marriage. This is about you trying to tear us apart. Madison's eyes narrowed. I didn't have to tear anything. It was already falling apart. Because you've been meddling, Emily said. Madison tilted her head. Or because you two haven't been honest with each other. Emily's anger simmered. Get out. Madison didn't move. Emily raised her voice. Get out. Madison smirked. Make me. And then, something unexpected happened. Ben pulled out a folded paper from his pocket, shaky hands, trembling breath. Emily, there's something else, he said quietly. Emily turned toward him slowly. What now? Ben opened the paper. Emily stared at it, numb. A printed bank statement. Her name. Donations made. Withdrawals. One transaction circled in red. $5,000. Sent to Madison. 3 weeks ago. Madison's smirk widened. Emily's voice cracked. You gave her money? Ben flinched. She said she needed help. She was desperate. Emily's throat tightened painfully. So this wasn't just emotional. She's been manipulating both of us. Madison rolled her eyes. It's not manipulation if he agreed. Emily pointed toward the door again. Leave. Before I throw you out. Madison finally stepped back, her smile growing darker. You're going to regret this, Em. She walked out slowly, heels clicking like victory bells. The door slammed behind her. Emily's knees buckled, and she caught herself on the edge of the couch. Ben, how much more are you hiding from me? Ben opened his mouth to answer. But Emily lifted a hand. Don't, she whispered. Not right now. Because she wasn't sure she could survive hearing anything else tonight. She'd held back. Ben slept on the couch by her choice, not his. She needed space. She needed air. She needed to feel like the ground wasn't breaking beneath her feet. Morning light filtered through the blinds, harsh and uninvited. Emily sat at the kitchen island, staring at the bank statement again. $5,000. Gone. Handed to Madison. And for what? Her thoughts spun until her chest tightened painfully. Ben entered slowly, rubbing his eyes, looking drained. Can we talk? Emily didn't look at him. I'm listening. Ben approached cautiously, like she was something fragile. Or dangerous. Maybe she was both. I didn't want to hide anything from you. She made it sound like she had no one else. Emily's jaw clenched. You were not supposed to be her someone. I know, Ben said. And I'm sorry. I swear to you, I never wanted her. Not in that way. Emily stared at him. But you gave her money. You responded to her late-night texts. You let her get in your head. She showed up in a dress that looked painted on, and you didn't throw her out. You let her build this fantasy. Ben closed his eyes. I see that now. Emily finally turned to face him. Why did you give her money? Ben hesitated. She said she owed rent. That her roommate had kicked her out. That she was scared. She cried, Em. She said she'd end up on the street. Emily scoffed. She's always been a good actress. Ben nodded painfully. I realize that. Emily swallowed hard, her voice softening just a little. And you thought I'd say no? Ben didn't answer. Which meant yes. Emily exhaled shakily. You should have trusted me. Not her. Ben lowered his gaze. I know. Before Emily could respond, her phone buzzed. She glanced down. A text. From their mother. Mom, Emily, we need to talk. It's about Madison. It's important. Emily's brow furrowed. Her mother never texted this early. She replied quickly, what happened? No answer. Emily stood abruptly. I need to go to Mom's. Ben looked alarmed. Now? Yes. Do you want me to come? Emily shook her head. No. I need space. And you need to fix whatever is going on inside you. Ben looked crushed, but he didn't argue. Emily grabbed her keys and left. At her mother's house. Her mother opened the door before Emily could knock twice. She looked exhausted, like she'd been pacing for hours. Mom, what's going on? Emily asked. Her mother stepped aside. Come in. We need to talk privately. Emily's stomach tightened. Is this about Madison? Her mother nodded, lips forming a tight line. She led Emily into the living room and closed the door. First, her mother said quietly, I want you to know I'm sorry. Emily blinked. For what? For not telling you sooner. Emily's heart skipped. Telling me what? Her mother took a deep breath, her hands trembling. Madison has been struggling for a long time. And she's been lying to all of us. Emily's eyes narrowed. Lying about what? About money, about her jobs, about where she's been living. Emily folded her arms. That's not news. She's always been. No, her mother cut in sharply. This time it's bigger. More dangerous. Emily stiffened. Mom, just say it. Her mother hesitated, then spoke the words that made Emily's blood run cold. Madison hasn't been living alone. She hasn't been renting an apartment. She's been staying with someone who's been enabling her behavior. Emily frowned. Who? Her mother hesitated. Someone close to you. Emily's pulse quickened. Who, Mom? Her mother's voice cracked. Ethan. Emily froze. Ethan. Her coworker. Her friend. Her confidant for years. No, Emily whispered. That's impossible. Her mom shook her head sadly. He's been letting her stay in his spare room for months. He's loaned her money. He's driven her places. He's gotten involved in her situations. Emily felt her knees weaken. Ethan knew. Her mother nodded. And he didn't tell you because Madison told him you two weren't speaking. She said you didn't want anything to do with her. She manipulated him too. Emily sank onto the couch, her mind spinning. Her mother continued. Last week, Madison came here asking for more money. When I said I couldn't help again, she stormed out. She said you and Ben were the reason her life was falling apart. She said she'd fix things soon. Emily's head snapped up. Fix what? Her mother swallowed. She didn't say, but she was angry. Very angry. Emily stared ahead, realizing something horrifying. Madison hadn't been acting impulsively. She had been planning. Carefully. Patiently. Strategically. She had allies. She had money she didn't earn. She had leverage Emily didn't know about. And she had a motive far more dangerous than jealousy. Emily stood abruptly. I need to talk to Ethan. Her mother grabbed her hand. Emily, be careful. Madison isn't thinking clearly. She's desperate. No, Emily said, eyes narrowing. She's determined. Emily headed for the door. Because if Madison had been planning this long before the night she tried to seduce Ben, then the real damage hadn't even been revealed yet. The house felt colder than it ever had, even though the California sun still streamed through every window. I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the envelope Olivia had slipped under my door the night before, the one she claimed held the truth about everything. My hands shook when I opened it, half expecting another lie, another manipulation, another attempt to turn my life into a battlefield. Inside was a single flash drive. A post-it note clung to it. You deserve to know what he hid from you. What I tried to expose. I didn't want to believe anything Olivia said anymore, but the flash drive felt heavier than plastic should. I plugged it into my laptop, bracing myself. Files opened, messages, recordings, screenshots. At first, I saw texts between Olivia and Ethan. The early ones looked harmless, small talk, jokes, inside references. But the tone shifted midway. Ethan became colder, then urgent, then angry. One message from him made my stomach knot. You pushed too far. Stay away from my wife. I'm warning you. Another from Olivia. She needs to know. You can't keep pretending. But pretending, what? A video thumbnail caught my eye. My chest tightened as I clicked it. The footage was from the night I walked in on them. Olivia had secretly recorded the last several minutes before I appeared. Ethan looked furious, not tempted, not seduced. He kept telling her to leave. She wasn't leaning on him to flirt. She was blocking his path toward the kitchen, toward me. It was still a betrayal, but not the one I thought. He wasn't cheating. She wasn't seducing. She was threatening him. In the clip, Olivia's voice was sharp, forced, trembling with something darker than envy. If you won't tell her, I swear I will, she hissed. I'm done keeping your past buried. He grabbed her wrist, not in desire but restraint. Stop. Not like this. You don't understand what you're about to destroy. My breath caught as I watched. Everything I thought I saw wasn't what I saw. When the clip ended, I paused it and sat still, letting the silence swallow me whole. Ethan wasn't the villain. Olivia wasn't innocent, but she wasn't flirting either. She was threatening him with something I didn't know existed. Ethan had secrets, buried, guarded, protected. And Olivia had been ready to drag them into the light. I felt tears forming, not from heartbreak this time, but from confusion thick enough to choke me. The ground beneath my feet shifted again, the story rewriting itself in real time. Then my phone buzzed. A text from Olivia. He's on his way home. Don't confront him yet. There's more you need to see, and I'm not safe here. Another message followed immediately. Meet me. Alone. My pulse raced. I stared at the flash drive, at the video paused on Ethan's distressed face. Whatever his past was, it terrified Olivia enough to risk everything. And she believed I needed to know it before he walked through our front door. The house felt smaller now, every sound amplified. I grabbed my keys. Whatever truth was waiting for me, whatever secret linked my husband and sister together, it wasn't about infidelity. It was something much darker. And I was about to walk straight into it. The parking lot behind the old community theater was empty except for a single flickering streetlight and Olivia pacing beside her car. When I pulled in, she rushed toward me, her face pale, her breathing uneven. For the first time in weeks, she didn't look smug, dramatic, or scheming. She looked terrified. Did you watch it? She asked before I even closed my car door. Yes, I answered. But you're going to explain everything. Now. Olivia swallowed hard and motioned me toward the back entrance of the theater. Inside, the building smelled of dust and forgotten props. She led me to a storage room and shut the door behind us, locking it. You were right to be angry at me, she said. But everything I did, it wasn't because I wanted Ethan. He hates me. You saw that in the messages. I crossed my arms. Start explaining. She took a deep breath. 3 years ago, before you married him, Ethan was involved in something. Something illegal. My stomach tightened. Illegal how? He worked at a medical billing company, she said. At night, after hours, he and another guy were adjusting patient claims. Not stealing money, but redirecting insurance payouts. Hundreds of thousands of dollars. I found out because the FBI contacted me. Someone used my information to file a fake claim. I blinked, stunned. Ethan? He would never. He admitted it, Olivia said. Said he got pulled into it by a coworker. Said he needed the money back then. Said it was a mistake. I shook my head, clinging to denial. He's honest. He's also careful, Olivia cut in. That's why he hid it from you. The guy he worked with got arrested. Ethan didn't. He cut a deal, cooperate, hand over documents, avoid prosecution. But the case isn't officially closed. The man who got arrested believes Ethan snitched. I felt the floor tilt beneath me. What does this have to do with you cornering him? With you threatening him? Olivia hesitated, then pulled out her phone. She showed me a message. A phone number I didn't recognize. A single sentence. Tell your sister what he did, or she gets dragged down with him. More messages appeared as she scrolled. Photos of my house. My car. My workplace. My name highlighted in documents I had never seen. I stepped back. What is this? His old partner is out, Olivia said. Released early. He's trying to rebuild the case from the outside. He wants Ethan ruined, and you ruined with him. He thinks Ethan stashed documents or evidence somewhere. He thinks you might know where. But you don't, and neither do I. I went to Ethan to warn him. He panicked. He told me to stay away from you so you wouldn't get dragged into it. My legs felt weak. I lowered myself onto an overturned crate. I thought you were trying to seduce him. You caught 1 second of a fight, she said quietly. A second where he grabbed my wrist because I told him I'd tell you everything if he didn't fix this before you got hurt. He lost it. And you walked in. Silence stretched between us, thick and suffocating. So why didn't you just tell me? I whispered. Because I thought he'd handle it, she said. And because I knew you'd hate me for being the messenger. But when I got that message last night, her voice broke. I realized we're out of time. He's coming after both of you.